Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Pure Guidance. We're a purpose before profit group that just loves sharing, helping you scale, grow, working on your mental health. If you need a chat or need a coffee, just reach out. We're there for you. Also, scrolling across the bottom was a new company we launched, Blockchain Insurance, a traditional insurance company. If you're looking for directors and officers, cybers, reach out. That's there. It's in the comment section. Click on the link, and we're there. Also, scrolling along in a little bit. When I switch, it will be Founders Coffee. It's just a place to network, meet like-minded people. If you're a small business, startup, entrepreneur, come down there every Tuesday at Red's Diner in Kensington, and we will be able to kind of hang out and just chat. So this one, it's been long overdue. John and I have had coffee. We've been talked to each other and I say this a lot because it's always my fault. I say I'm going to do something and then I forget it, or I don't put it in my calendar. I am my own assistant, so I fired my assistant like 1,000 times before. So I'm so excited to have John Hetherington on, the founder of We Deliver Your Vision. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. It's great to be on, Jade.
Well, I mean, this is great. Two podcasters talking to each other. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about learning more about what you do. But I also love our listeners to find out a little bit more about you. Like before you were doing this, before you were into entrepreneurship and AI and things along that line. So why don't you share your early journey with us and how that led into what you're doing today?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, my journey was not traditional in any sense of the form. I'm a self-confessed nerd, geek, introvert. I loved growing up with Lego, Star Wars, and the electronics and the nerdy, geeky stuff. But that was my passion. I've always loved mucking around on PCs and computers ever since the BBC Micro and Hello World when I was
Yeah.
in junior school. And yeah, so then that led me into electrical engineering at university. And then my first job was a bit of a shift. It was actually in sales. I did financial service sales. I was selling life and pensions and investments, which, if anyone's starting out in a career, going into sales is probably one of the best training grounds you can have. It's tough, but you learn so much. Yes.
But
So
isn't that the truth though, right? I mean, I dropped out of university many moons ago and got a job as a shipper receiver. And 6 months later, I was into sales
mm,
and the rest is history. I mean, we'll dive into that a little more later, but it's so important. It's such a good skill to have.
yes, because you really learn about end customers, and this is held true to everyday since over the last 30 years of my career, and why I built my company as well, because it's around understanding how customers, what they need, want, desire, and how you can help them achieve that. And so that led me into selling more. But then I did realize I wanted to go back to my passion and interest, which is around computers and IT, and got into an IT graduate program in financial services, and that was back in the UK, and got to go through the year 2000 again, learning how the year 2000 bug was the big millennium issue that we got through, and then into .com, and that was a huge learning experience as well. And yeah, that started me on my journey on how to get into the business.
Well, I want to dive into the sales side a little bit, right? And I mean, just so people know, none of this is scripted. We have an opening question, which was that, and kind of the final couple. But I I stress sales so much. And we talk about
Mm,
sales at Pure Guidance and what we do. And even if with our new blockchain insurance, sales, right? Like I get mad at, people that we work with saying enough freaking accelerators, enough of this, like get on doors, knock on doors, get out there.
mm,
Right. And I was having a conversation with, in a meeting yesterday talking about people buy from people. People will
yes.
always buy from people, and people buy from people they trust. I've been ordering my
Mm,
stuff from Dan Medic for 20 years because I know that he's making money. I know he's not gouging me, but I trust him. And I know if there's a problem, it's taken care of. And that, in my mind, is how I've always wanted to sell and make sure.
yes. Yep. Exactly. It's a great point, because when people talk about you have to be selling, people think of door-to-door salesman, or the guy who turned up yesterday trying to sell me a new roof, or the used car salesman, that pushy, high pressure, don't, not leaving until you say yes type conversation, which is really not the case at all, especially in our world around enterprise B2B or even just B2C customer selling is still, to your point, Jade, it, it has to be building a relationship. It has to be curious. And that was the switch that flicked for me early in my career when I was going through the sales training and not getting the results I wanted. And how do we increase our business and grow revenue? And my coach at the time said, okay, the first call is you're not allowed to sell anything. The first call is literally you need to know more about the customer coming out of that call. You need to ask questions, be curious, build a relationship, understand what they need. Then the second call, sure, if it makes sense, offer them something of value, but do not sell. You're not allowed to sell in the first call, which was an eye-opener for me because that really positioned every conversation we'd have is what's going on with you? How can I help? How can we work together to solve a problem? And it's that puzzle to solve. And just to round this out, I'm often asked, what's the number one skill in this age of AI right now? And I would say back to your point, Jade, learning to communicate, market, meet people, build relationships. Because in this age of AI, it's all around the relationships and how we come across to each other and how we communicate.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, I know I get so many questions about AI, right? And I have so many people that I don't know. Oh God, I could get in trouble for this. I think they know everything about AI. Right? And I don't, right? And you see the term that you just said there, be curious. I love that, right? Ted Lasso, be curious, right? Like
Right.
when you have that, right? Like that, and that's one thing of all the great show. I remember that line when just before he's playing darts, right? Like you're like, okay, that is great. And
Yeah, in the pub.
I did that, right? I was a not run in there salesman, whether it was movies or slush machines or milkshake machine or ice cream machines, right? Like that I made a good career out of. But it was more about, hey, if you need something, let me know. Like I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere, away we go. But that be curious is something because I get a lot of people that say, oh my God, AI is going to return. I don't even need salespeople. It's just going to help me and things along those lines. So before we get into that, like let's talk a little bit about AI in sales. Like, how do you think that AI can assist in sales or should it even assist in sales?
So I love to use AI as a coworker, someone I'm hiring to help me and my business and my team do a better job. So I've seen used AI sales agents where you literally call a AI agent. You don't know it's AI unless you ask, and they are so good you wouldn't know. The conversation is human-like and very sophisticated and very emotionally reflective as well. But I'm not into that yet. What I really like AI for right now is helping me on calls. So I'll sometimes use an AI agent to listen live on a call, and it might prompt me to say, you're not asking enough questions, you're not being empathetic, and using my team as well, I'm listening to their calls and helping them prompt to say, here's how you can serve the customer better, dig deeper into this point. And it's not always right.
Yeah.
But just the other day, I was actually doing it in a one-on-one, and full disclosure with the person I'm having it with, using AI to monitor the call, and it was pointing out that to me that we weren't digging into something that my team member said, and digging into that found out that they had a big goal that we weren't achieving for in the business for us. So understanding where they wanted to go, their future ambitions, and how they wanted to grow their own business helped me position them for more entrepreneurial skills to grow. So then not only are they growing, but it's growing within my business. So then I'm able to lead my team in a better way. So it is very much how can it help me do a better job with that feedback and information to then apply to the situation.
I think that's a great. I love how you laid that out, right? As almost like an assistant more than an actual as an AI, all right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it very much is a collaboration tool, like any technology tool. Because I'm often called in where we just need to do AI, John. How do we get AI going now? The board has said we need to do AI to reduce risk, reduce cost, increase revenue. And it all comes down to that. I always go back to the 3 A's of, okay, assess where you are, assemble the knowledge, and then align with your team. So if you want to do AI, assess what you want to do. What do you want to achieve? It's probably not do AI. It's probably reduce cost, increase revenue, manage risk, like any business.
Yeah.
Then assemble the knowledge around that through yourself, your team, research on the internet, go on YouTube, watch AI videos. And then the third A line has to be you demonstrating how you're using AI. It's all very well the board telling your team to use AI, but how are you as a leader showing it being used so your team can follow that? And then you apply it into the most use case, the business problem that's actually going to grow your business. So assess, assemble, align are three key things I always do with any new technology, but particularly AI.
Well, again, I'm talking with John Hetherington, the founder of We Deliver Your Vision. His website's in the comment section. Just click on it. It'll take you directly there. So before we dive into, I got more on that. Why don't you just share what We Deliver Your Vision does?
Yeah, for sure. So I hate waste. I hate wasted time. I hate wasted money. Maybe it's growing up in the UK and my parents being in the war mentality, but it's just something that I just don't like. So that is one of the founding principles of my business is around the production flow. How do we create efficiency? How do we free up time, reduce waste, reduce how we spend our money so we can spend it on things that are really important to us? So creating that production flow is what we do. We find the one constraint and then we unblock that flow to increase revenue and grow businesses. That could be with AI. And the example to make this real is I always go back to the Starbucks. If you use the mobile app to order coffee at Starbucks, is they knew there was a constraint, which was the till. The taking the order is when people turn up at Starbucks, there's a lineup around the corner because people have to pay for their coffee before they get it. That was a constraint they found. So then they decided to, okay, how do we get rid of that constraint? Why do we do this? And historically, you take payments, you take cash, take a credit card. But the question is, how do we delete that? How do we get rid of that interaction? And that's where the mobile payment came in. Then simplify what's left. So mobile customers are picking up their coffee. For everyone else, okay, you get a dedicated pickup area for the coffee, or you go to a specific lineup to get your coffee and your baked goods. And then the last step is automate, and that's where the automated app order process came in. So those 5 steps around finding the constraint, questioning why we do it, deleting what's not needed, simplifying what's left, and then finally automating, those 5 steps are the foundation of our business that we apply to everything because, like I said, I just hate waste. And the more we can free up time, the better.
And that's a great analogy, right? So, I mean, Starbucks is a big company. It's billions and billions of dollars. They could probably have the money to do that. They have the knowledge to do that. But, when you said a board comes to me and, we're working with any company XYZ, and a board says, to your question, let's get AI. Well, like as a founder, like what should my next steps be? And I mean, it's maybe a startup can use it, but I'm probably thinking more along the lines of a scale up that might have some financial resources that can pay for things or buy things or bring in yourself or somebody like that. So if somebody's in that maybe, 1 to 5 or 10 or plus $1 million, when the board comes to you and says that, what would your next step be?
And I always go back to AI is best placed with 3 R's. So the application of AI has to be repeatable. Something you're doing is repetitive. You're doing it on a regular basis, probably daily, but at least weekly. The second R is rule-based, as in it's very specific. And the third point, and most important, is it's results-driven. So repeatable, rule-based, and results-driven. If you know that about your business, that's where AI is best placed and your best investment. Because people say, which AI tool shall I use? Is it Claude, Cowork? Is it Microsoft Copilot, Gemini? And my point is, it doesn't matter. Pick one, but pick one that applies to a process that's repeatable, rule-based, and results-driven. A great example is for any scaling business is you're working with leads, you're working with conversations with customers that we talked about at the beginning. Yeah. And you likely have to put that into a CRM. So a great example is you have the call. You then have to update your customer relationship management, your CRM software. That's a repeatable process. It's repeatable. You update the CRM every time. It's rule based because take this information from the call, update the CRM, and set a reminder date. And it's results driven, as in you can tick off that task in the CRM when it's done. AI can easily integrate with your CRM. I use it with HubSpot, integrating Claude with HubSpot to track my calls, update the customer information, and then create a reminder in my CRM. That's a great example anyone can use. But point is, pick one step of a process. Don't try and automate the entire sales process. Pick one, do it well, and then scale it from there.
I, I love that. I've never heard, and I wrote it down. You might have seen me over here writing, because I think that's great. Because I get that question a lot, right? And I know enough, and I say, again, it's got to be something that's simple, that's like that goes, you do over and over and over and
Mm.
over again. That it can understand, it can make easier and probably more efficient.
Yes, exactly. And that's part of the production flow, the finding constraint and creating that production flow, which is what we do for businesses. And by the way, if people want a copy of that 3R rules for applying AI, which is mixed into the whole production flow framework, they can just drop the comment of flow in the comments on LinkedIn or this podcast, and I'll send a free copy. It's no sign up required. I'll just send you a copy for free, no problem. And you can refer to that and then use it in your business starting tomorrow.
No, thank you for that offer. And anybody's listening, I would highly recommend taking John up on that. Again, talking to John Hetherington, the founder of We Deliver Your Vision. His website is in the comment section. So just click on that. So what are some of the, I guess, fears, or why would somebody not want to, take the 3 R's or look at AI? Is it a misunderstanding? Is it that they just don't understand, or they do think that it's going to cost too much, or why do people hesitate into bringing AI into their business?
And this is really interesting. And I went through this myself back in November 2022 when ChatGPT was launched. I thought it was cheating. I didn't use it straight away. I love technology. I'm a technology advocate. I think it's amazing. And even I resisted it at first. And I was deep diving on why that is. And I see this a lot with my clients as well. I'm doing a lot of work with accountants, and they brought up a great example to illustrate this with, we were automating the month-end close process. We were shortening the typical close reporting process from 18 days down to 13 days. World class, it's 5, but that's another story. But just reducing 5 days off the close process. The accountants literally said, this job gives me self-worth. I like being busy. So if I'm automating my job, I don't have a job. And so this was interesting because not only did it help me reflect on why I was initially resisting AI, but I see it a lot as in people are habitual. We as humans love routine. We love habits. We love the most efficient way of doing things, even though ironically the task may not be efficient. We love the efficiency of completing something. So when AI comes along, there is some resistance, fear, uncertainty. And my answer to this now is just back to what we started, is be curious. Just understand what AI can do, because if nothing else, it is a tidal wave coming at us. It is a train you need to board that's moving. So be aware of it. Know that it's affecting industry and changing how we work. But just ask the questions, because it's not going to be the marketing doomsday that everyone says where everyone loses a job. But yes, some jobs will change, absolutely, and some jobs will be lost, but there will also be jobs created. So learn about AI. Back to the 3 A's of assess, assemble, and align. Just assess where you are. Watch robots falling over on YouTube just to understand what it can do and what it can't do well, because then it just brings you up to speed on how to use it and reduces that fear.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fear, right? Taking over the world, iRobot, Will Smith, right? I mean, it's
Right.
all fantasy
Love that
stuff
movie.
in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I do agree with you, right? I think there will be. It's no different than, when the assembly line came in. The jobs just went from there to here, right? And it went to different, so maybe more foreman, more whatever, more types of different roles within companies. So I want to touch on that fear. Like, do people, when you're dealing with a company, and do they fear that a client is going to think that they're dealing with AI and not a person. And what I mean by
Mm,
that, I guess more is like, I used to phone and I'm 0000000. I'm talking to somebody. I don't want to talk to, I want to talk to a human that understands my pain. Well, we'll just pick
mm.
on WestJet because everyone probably felt some pain with them. But I mean, I think in the last two calls that I've gone somewhere, I've actually solved my problem with AI, and I knew it was AI, and I was like, I don't need to talk to a human right now. So I know it's evolved, it's got there. But do you think us as a human has got to that point where we're okay talking to AI, or we're okay dealing with AI? Or do you think companies are all right saying, and I'm not talking billion-dollar companies like Starbucks, I'm talking,
Mm.
when we talk about that human interaction, buying from people, buy from people, do you fear that they might lose that commonality or that in touch with their customers?
That's a really interesting point, actually. And there's a couple of things that spring to mind there as well. Let's break it down into where AI has a place to play versus the human interaction, because I love talking to people, but there are times when I just need information. I don't need to have a long conversation with someone who may not know everything. So I'll talk to Claude or to Copilot to understand something, to understand a process, an industry or a company, because I know that that'll get the information from the internet, which I need to trust and validate. I need to check, but it's getting to the interpretation very quickly. Whereas if it's more of a relationship building, so when we're having coffee, Jade, or we're having this podcast, this is more of a let's explore some areas. It's, if anything, let's be a little bit wrong sometimes. Let's have the debate, let's have the discussion. And this is a relationship building situation. So if I need something done, if I need a plumber to come out and fix a leaking tap or service my furnace, sure, call AI, get someone booked, keep me updated. I just need that done. I don't need someone to debate with me around upgrading my furnace or changing other things. But if it's a talk with my lawyer, I might have some information I've got going into a legal proceeding or a case I'm working on, but I'll talk to the lawyer to get their opinion, to get their advice, their judgment, the situational context that I might have missed, or the AI might have missed. So back to your question, it depends. So bottom line, AI is a tool. There are times when you need to just get an answer and deep research. It's very good for that. Other times when it's more judgment-based, context, opinions. Sometimes you just like to shoot the shit and just talk about stuff, and that's
Yeah.
where a human comes in.
Yeah, I mean, that's one kind of question I've been, since we've booked this and put it in the schedule, that I've been, itching to ask. And I didn't want to ask it beforehand because I wanted to see, I wanted your answer now, not
Yeah.
think about it, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, again, I mean, it's probably, I'm actually getting, let's say 6 months, maybe up to a year ago, I was getting a lot of requests about AI things. And now it's kind of now, it's probably 75% less questions I get about AI.
Mm,
And I
me
think
too.
obviously people understand it, people get it, people probably how AI can help their business. I mean, right? It's asking Claude or whoever they're using to say, hey, like, what can we do, or maybe it's just that comfort level now that people have.
Yeah, I agree. It's becoming it's part of that classic, norming, forming, storming, performing curve where it's to get to the norming, you have to go through that storming, and then to performing is later. But the people are getting used to AI. It's almost getting a bit boring in terms of AI is going to take over the world and destroy us all. And yes, that
Yeah.
might still be a possibility. I don't think so, but people are now accepting that it's life, and people I think are now adapting to, okay, I've got a job to do, I've got a purpose, I've got a mission, I've got something to do, to work on, and then how does AI help with that, if at all, and maybe not. So
Yeah.
I agree, it's becoming part of the conversation as opposed to the object of the conversation.
So what do you think's next for AI?
Good question. I
That's a
there's
pretty loaded question, right? Like,
it is. It's I mean, I see a massive opportunity for scaling business. It's so easy to get into business these days now because the barrier to entry is so low with AI, because you can create the marketing plan, the software product, the team. You've got the AI marketing agent, you've got the AI sales agent, you've got the AI accountant, the AI lawyer. So to stand up a basic business is very, very easy these days. The scaling the business is another matter. That does need that experience, judgment, collaboration, relationships, negotiation skills, which are not an automatic AI skill.
Yeah.
But in terms of where it's going, there's a lot of talk about artificial general intelligence. So we have artificial intelligence right now, which is very factual and very results based, inputs, outputs. Um, in the future, there could be there will be the general intelligence where it's more thought, thinking, and analytical and in emotionally intelligent. Personally, I see that a little bit, maybe 3 to 4 years out, based on what I'm reading and what my opinion. And even then, I still think it'll be a collaborator, working partner, someone to work with us to actually do business, because that human relationship, connection, interaction just won't go away quickly.
No, and yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I mean, I don't.
Mm.
That's not a question. I don't think I've ever asked that question to anybody. So
Yes.
it's just, right. I mean, again, when you're reading in blogs or Reddits or or Substacks, wherever you're trying to get your information, it's just it's so all over the map that I don't
Mm.
even know what even to believe or who to believe, or so sometimes it's just like I can't take any more of this. I
Yeah.
just I just got to go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah, and it goes back to what a business coach guided me to early in my career around the Malcolm Gladwell Outliers book, talking about the 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. The,
Yeah,
the 10,000 hours still applies. People think, oh, I've got AI, therefore I'm suddenly an expert. And there's different types of knowledge. Like repeating knowledge you've read is a different type of knowledge than experience, judgment, application. And the experience, judgment, application knowledge is true value that only you have.
yeah,
Anyone can create an AI business in any application tomorrow. It's very easy, but it's not unique. It's not special. What's special is your voice, your personality, your quirks, your habits, and that application comes from experience. Whatever it is, it could be 5 years or 50 years, but you have experience to apply and share with others. And that's where I share this, and I always advocate to myself, is that 10,000 hours of iterations. And Naval Ravikant built on Gladwell's quote to say it's not about the 10,000 hours, it's about that iteration and learning, 10,000 iterations. So even though you're using AI, you need to learn and develop for it, because if you're not improving or developing or growing, I'm huge on personal development, by the way, because I've had to work through this. But if you're not
mhm.
improving, growing, and achieving a goal, then why are we here? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You need to strive for something.
No, I love that, and I totally 100% agree with you on that personal development side as well. So
Mm. And
what's
just
next for we deliver your vision?
Yeah, so I'm excited about the future. That's why I love being self-employed, entrepreneurial, building a business, and it is all about where can we go? Because for anyone starting out in entrepreneurship or as a founder, it's tough. It's you are your owner of your own destiny, both in terms of putting food on the table, which is very difficult sometimes, but also you can spend your time on what you really love. Jade, you and I were chatting just before the podcast around how you love doing this, and you can choose to spend time on this for the last 8 years, which is awesome. And that comes about from that founder mentality of being hungry, being curious. And so, in terms of where we're taking We Deliver, we're launching the production flow as a software product as we're building that out, which is our next big venture. I'm in the process of writing a book because it just feels like something in terms of sharing my 30 years experience on. The working title is How Technology Will Break Your Business, ironically, for someone who advocates for technology, but you have to do it in the right way. So building the business, the new ventures, and then, yeah, just how can we enjoy life better? I mean, I started this company. You asked me at the beginning about why we started We Deliver Your Vision, and it was actually born out of two things. My wife had cancer twice and survived, and bless her, she's a trooper. She's worked through that. But the first time, it really opened our eyes to life is too short. How do we take life by the balls and get going and moving? That's what triggered our move from the UK. I joined Ernst & Young because I wanted to travel. We wanted to move to Canada. And so we made it to Canada. And then the second time she had cancer in 2013, that was when I really launched the business, because even working in Canada and Ernst & Young, that was a great experience, but we had to make an even bigger change. And that's when we launched the business, because we knew being in charge of our own destiny and our own time was the only way to really get to that purpose-driven lifestyle.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure it wasn't easy, and I'm glad to hear your wife's okay.
Yeah, she's doing right. I mean, she's a trooper. She's the strongest person I know, and an inspiration to me and the business.
No, I love that. I love that. And as you said, I mean, I did say before, like, this is my favorite day of the week. Like, from 9 o'clock till 10:15 to whatever time we go. I love this. I'm always smiling. I'm exciting. Even when I'm posting after, I'm still smiling, thinking about the conversation and like, oh my God, that was awesome. I wish more people could hear, telling it like it is. But, and that being said, I'm always sad that, our conversation has to come to an end.
For now.
For now. I mean, I think I've had somebody on 3 times. I don't know, but there's definitely is. I think the AI is not going away. So I think this is probably going to be a continuing conversation. That's for sure. But I am going to put a twist on my last question. I've had 450-ish or so episodes. I've always asked this question. I love the answer I receive every single time. But John, yours is going to have a twist. So if you had one piece of advice for somebody to start looking or implementing AI into their business, what would it be?
That's interesting. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground already around the 3 A's, the assess, assemble, and align, and then the rule-based, repeatable, and results-driven. But bottom line is, I'll take it full circle to where we started, is be curious, ask questions, but then track your improvements, reflect back on where you were yesterday or last week or last month, and how you're improving. There's a lot of, in business, in entrepreneurship, founders, there's a lot of what I'll call compare-itis, where you're comparing yourself to others. You see the $10 million bros on YouTube with their Lambos and their villas by the ocean, spending 2 hours a week doing calls and earning millions. And that may be true for some people, but not many people. Behind the scenes, they've put in the work. Even if it's true, they've put in the work, they've put in the grind. So that doesn't translate to just being busy. That translates to improving yourself towards a purpose and direction. So set a goal, be it revenue, lifestyle, family time, whatever, and how can you work towards that in the process of helping others and collaborating along the way?
I love that. And that is true. And social media can be a little bit of a farce, and probably don't believe some of that.
Yeah. And I realized I did forget and how does AI play into that? And I use AI as a coach. It's very good at a tool to help you towards that goal. So have clarity on your vision and goal and the purpose towards it, and mark the improvement. But then use AI to sense check where you're going. So I'm struggling with this goal. Help me clarify this goal. Who are my competitors, and how do I work with them to serve customers better? Again, if being curious means asking AI the question.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Again, John, I really appreciate you coming on. Anybody wants any more information, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. His website's in the comments section. Just click on it. It'll take you directly there. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And honestly, this was one that, I told you before, it's my last show until September.
Yes.
So I'm taking some time off. I'm going to be at the lake and relax and taking that me time with my wife and kids and just sitting back and enjoying. So again, thank you so much, John, for coming on, and for everybody else, I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Again, a company's only as healthy as its founders. So look after yourself. We talk, we even talked about that, in here, and John shared, the family things and, my story about me and my wife. And it's important. It's important to look after yourself. So take some time for you, take some time for yourself and your family, your friends, and whether it's golfing or hiking or camping or whatever you like, just get out there, enjoy life a little bit, and take some of those stresses off you.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. Always appreciate it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Excellent. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their summer, and we will see you in first Wednesday in September. Until then, take care, my friends.